Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, we appreciate you joining us. I always say that because I mean it. So wherever it is that you're finding our show, thanks for doing so. You can watch us live on whatever platform you're on, but also, of course, you can watch us afterward and feel free to share those segments. We are going to be talking about something happening on September 14th here for this episode, for this segment, and that is the Celebrity Spirits and Wine and Spirits Festival that's going to be taking place over in Bend, Oregon. And that is a festival that includes a number of different brands with a lot of different celebrities, so celebrity-owned brands. One of those being by our guest today, who is Neil Giraldo. He is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member. He's a producer. He's a screenwriter, and also a bourbon owner, a bourbon company owner, a bourbon distillery owner. There we go. That's probably the right way to say that. 3-chord bourbon. And so we're going to be talking about that here with Neil. And he goes into, what it is that made him want to get into that, what makes it different, what stands out. A pretty interesting conversation. So let's jump into it right now with Neil Giraldo. Thing I always like to know is, how somebody gets into what it is that they're doing, because obviously, tremendous, huge rock and roll career, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of that. How does that translate into, now I want to make bourbon? Where does that, how'd that journey start?
Yeah, it's crazy. First of all, you got to know that if I come up with an idea, I act on it immediately. I don't waste any time. The spirits company that I started is 6 years old. Started in May of 2016. Wait a minute. That's more than that. 6, 7, 7. 8. Okay, it's been a long
COVID screwed up time for everything, so
yeah, it screwed up everything. Yeah, you should just scratch it off the calendar. But it started then, and I write songs, as you know, and I love writing. I have 2 books I'm working on now. I write screenplays. So what I was doing, I started a screenplay. A hybrid documentary idea for a film, independent film, to give a retrospective look at the musicians that I started working with when I was very young in northeastern Ohio. So I started this script, and it was going really well. And a friend of mine chimed in and said, would you like a little help to get this going? Maybe we can get a trailer made. And I says, that's a great idea. And he says, how about getting a spirits company to do some angel investing, a little money in it, maybe $100,000. I says, why don't we start our own company? He looked at me, laughed, and he knows I do these kind of things. And the funny part, ironic, is I started the spirits company then, and I didn't finish the screenplay. It's been 6 or 7 years already, but I do have it, and I am going to finish it. So,
but that's how it all got started.
That's how it began.
Like, what? Yeah, let's just do that.
He kind of mentioned, he says, well, why don't you do like a vodka or do a tequila? I says, because I challenge myself like I do in my musical career and life. I says, I want the toughest one, bourbon.
I mean, and that is, talking about, the spontaneity of just being like, oh, I'm just going to form a company. But yeah, them picking one of the spirits that requires, I think, a little more time and effort than a lot of those other ones. So you jump into that. Like, how quickly did you have to learn? What was the learning curve like on jumping into actually making bourbon?
Well, I learn something new every day. I say stuff wrong because I don't know I'm not in this is not my field of life, right? So I was able to build an incredible team. That's really important, and it emulates music in so many ways that you have to have great players around you. You have to have all these ingredients. Nobody does anything themselves. So, but number one key, I needed to find an incredible whiskey maker. And I think I found the very best, Ari Zussman. And of all places, he lived in Michigan. He wasn't in Kentucky. He wasn't in Indiana. He wasn't where you think, right? And he's just brilliant and just an amazing human being. And that it built from there, built from that.
I mean, I think, the fact that he's in Michigan, I think that does say something too, because obviously Kentucky, Tennessee, home of so many different bourbons and whiskeys and every kind of category there. But it does feel like the industry has expanded so much to where you have talented distillers in all over the place making various kinds of bourbon. Do you think that plays into with 3-chord?
I think, well, in a way it does. But, Michigan has a history of whiskey and spirits. Goes way back, way back. Maybe even before Tennessee, because that's the way the liquor came through from Canada. It comes to Michigan, right? And when I started learning things, I started learning that the grain is coming from Indiana it's coming from all these other places I didn't know. I thought, it's in Tennessee, it's in Kentucky. That's not it. And the weather has something to do with it because it's cold in Michigan. And when you put the juice in a barrel, it kind of lives in there and they move it around. And I don't know, it's an interesting concept to making whiskey. It's not just like you pour some stuff in a glass and drink it.
Right. No, that's what I do, but that's
exactly.
the end result. Well, let's talk about three-chord in particular. So what is it that, for you, what were the flavors? What were the things you were looking for to make this stand out and make it, its own bourbon within this category?
Okay, I'll make this quick. It's a quick story. But it's right to the point. I went with Ari Zussman and a few friends to a bar that he knew, and a bartender laid out all these different bourbons, but I didn't know what they were. He would pour the glass, and I would take a sip, and I go, nah, not that one. That's too sweet. No, not that one, that one, that one. So he went through a lot of them, and these guys were taking big gulps. I'm just taking little sips, right? So we got to the end, and he pours this, and I tasted, and I went, why did you start with that? That's exactly the profile I want. Then he goes, the reason I didn't start with it, because it's the most expensive whiskey we have here, it was a 16-year-old Hirsch. And it was off the charts. I looked at Ari, I said, Ari, that's what I want. And then he talked to the bartender. He says, why did you do that? Why did you have to do that? So, and that was a profile I was looking for. And we kind of modeled after that. I mean, you can't get that exact because that's really the top. I mean, there's a lot of great bourbons, but boy, that one just hit it right on the nose. So
and then work from there and to try to create that one. Well, you said it's been several years now the company's going, and how have you seen it grow and other people when they start trying it out, what's that like for you to have them experience this thing?
Yeah, I think the growth actually happened inside the team. The more people you have working in the team and the diversity, men and women, all different, where they come from different parts of careers. To join in, right? So I saw it kind of happening, and it's really a democracy, so to speak. Everybody has a say so. It's not just because I'm the founder and owner. I want everybody to voice an opinion. That's like when you're making a record. You don't want to shut everybody down. Somebody may have a brilliant idea. You listen to everything and try it all, right? And originally, and we stayed true to this, is that I wanted to have a company that had a lot of expressions. I didn't want one bottle of bourbon. That's all. I wanted a lot of different ones. And another part that's very important, I have to mention this, is because obviously I'm a musician. I've been one my whole life since I was 6 years old, right? I have a format that I built inside the company, and everybody believes the same model. It's a program to help musicians all over the country. And we have various ways of doing these things to help musicians, and it's working phenomenal. It's just phenomenal.
And now you're going to be coming here to Oregon as well. For the Celebrity Wine and Spirits Festival. It's going to be happening in Bend, and just bringing the whiskey there, bringing the bourbon there. So for you, being the musician and performer in front of crowds, now you're going to be there presenting your bourbon in front of crowds, or your bourbon's going to be presented. What's that like for that interaction compared to being on stage?
Okay, here's what happens, and this is what I love about the idea of keeping it as a conversational spirit, because you can't just chug it. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but that's not the idea. We're talking about sipping conversation. So what happens is folks come and they try the spirit, and they're sipping, and they're meeting people, and they're talking to each other. And if there's a line of folks that are coming up, next thing you know, they're all having conversations with each other. That's exactly what happens on stage with music. You're connecting with people, right? That's my dog in the background. Honey girl, she's talking too. She wants to be.
Dogs are always welcome on this show. So.
Oh, she's the best.
Well, yeah. So it is kind of that same experience. Well, for people who are, going to be out there in Bend and coming to this event and trying that, what do you want them to take away from trying your bourbon? What's that experience you want them to have?
Again, as part of that conversation and friendship and meeting people, right? But also to learn things. With bourbon, they may have, the way you smell, you put your nose and have a smell of a bourbon. You don't keep your mouth closed. You kind of educate people as they go if they're not connoisseurs of drinking bourbon. The other thing is I try to introduce people to the spirit. If they, here's what I hear a lot. I see a guy and a girl come together, and the girl says, I want to buy a bottle for my husband. He drinks it, I don't. I says, why don't you just try it? Just try it. And when they try it, they end up loving it because it has a great nose. This is really important. If you're going to eat something, you want it to smell really good, right?
Right.
I mean, you don't want to smell something that smells bad and go, oh, that's great. No, that's not going to happen, right? Same thing with the spirit. So that what I want to get out of, I want people to get to know one another and understand what it's like to sip and have conversation and, enjoy, enjoy it. Respect
that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Respect them.
Enjoy and have that conversation. Well, Neil, thank you very much, for having some time to talk to us as well, too, about this. And congratulations on getting this going. And obviously Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, you did pretty good in that career that you got there. And now turns out it's all right. And now going into the bourbon too. But obviously this is a pretty big achievement here, and I'm looking forward to trying it, quite honestly.
You got to try the different expressions that we have there. It's important to know where they kind of go. And the other thing that's important too about this festival, the people that are organizing this and are doing this are phenomenal.
Yeah.
They are so great, so together. I mean, it's just fantastic. And first of all, I love Oregon. I have a dream of going there, renting a house on the bluff, because I love the fall and the ocean when it's fall, autumn. I just want to stay there for a month and just write.
Oh, it's pretty amazing. You should definitely do that. Have you spent any time on the coast?
No, just playing golf. But I play 5 hours and I leave, and that's a good thing, though. But
yeah,
you got some great golf courses, so.
Yes, most definitely, and over there in Bend too. So there's a lot for you to do here. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Well, Neil, thanks so much for joining us here for Fox 12 Now. I really appreciate your time, and looking forward to this event coming up.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
All right, so again, there we go. Thank you to Neil Giraldo, and that event on September 14th in Bend, the Celebrity Wine and Spirits Festival. So you can check out all the info there. And we do, of course, thank all of you for tuning in, for joining us here for this show. There is a lot that we cover here on Fox 12 Now, and it's always great having different guests, different feedback. If you feel like sending me an email, fox12now@kptv.com. Thanks for doing that as well. We do have more coming up here on today's episode. If you are watching live here on September 3rd, and that is at 2 o'clock, we're going to be talking about going back to school. So switching gears a little bit, talking about mental health awareness for parents, students, teachers. A lot to cover right there. So we've got somebody from the Oregon Department of Education who's going to be joining us for that. But check out all of our past segments, interviews, all of our coverage on that Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel, kptv.com, or the Fox 12 Now tab, or download that Fox 12 Oregon app. Thank you all for joining us right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.